So we thought, given as we're moving to phase 2 of our home learning offer, that it would be really useful to offer to you as parents and carers and students at home this short presentation to explain some of the key ideas. So as you can see from slide 1, we're going to talk to you about students in school, the rationale behind what we are doing, our resources and how you're going to access them, our advice on structuring the week when you're learning at home, help, something about feedback, and then just to finish by talking about form tutor calls. So I want to start by talking about our fantastic students that have been in school during this time. They have been following a different curriculum by and large to what we've been sending home, but what we have decided is that we don't want to disadvantage our students that are in school. So from Monday the 8th of June, all of the students that are with us will be following the same curriculum, the same resources as the students at home. We're therefore going to move so that we're kind of working in the morning based on the computer so that they can access all of the same resources as the students at home, and teaching staff will be on hand to help them. We're also going to select a learner of the day from each of the classes who will go into a weekly draw for a prize, and they will also get a phone call home. So that's what our students in school will be doing. So we've talked before, but we thought it would be useful to kind of just sum up our rationale about why we're making this change now. First and foremost, having spent the time with the form tutor calls home in the last half term, the context of our families in our community is far more well known to us now, even though we appreciate that this can still be an ever-changing picture. So we're far clearer on those students who need more support because of family circumstances, for instance, who maybe because of their special educational need are struggling in different ways than our students without SEND needs. And also the context of our staff and any difficulties that they might be experiencing are again far more clear to us now during this pandemic than they were previously. So part of the reason for only moving to change now is because we wanted to make sure that we do fully understand all of those contexts and how we need to support all of the people in our community. What we are finding though is that the vast majority of our students at home are regularly accessing the work that we are setting. On any given week, well over 80% of our students in Year 7 to Year 10 we know are accessing Show My Homework, and they're able to get on there and see what work there is, and around 10% of our students we are providing printed resources, and we will continue to do that as we move to phase 2. Just as importantly, from our staff perspective, that very labour-intensive and very difficult grading process has now been completed from a class teacher point of view. And we're also aware that this kind of pandemic is maybe going to be potentially impacting schools for longer than perhaps all of us had hoped. And finally, for us to deliver resources to home that are more kind of led by teachers rather than activities being set, that's meant that we've needed to very rapidly as a school kind of skill up our ability to use the relevant technologies to be able to provide that. So as I've said, it is a very steep learning curve for our staff, and we know that we felt some frustration with the technologies that are available to us, given that we're all obviously producing these materials at home by and large, and so we've all got very different access to equipment, and only a limited amount of equipment that we are able to send home due to the fact that laptops we are using to support students at home and also now to support students in school. We are going to attempt to, in as many of our resources as possible, embed some kind of audio or video content so that there's that connection with home. And we know that you will appreciate that that's going to look potentially quite rough and ready, quite DIY in terms of what those resources look like as we get to grips with these different technologies. None of us came into education expecting to have to be skilled at distance learning. Our intention is that all of the homework will be on Show My Homework, and it will be signposting for you the link to where the resources are, be that on our school SharePoint or on Microsoft Stream. For all of those access reasons, it's really important that you know your Show My Homework password, your school username for your child, and your child's email password. And as we sent out earlier this week, if you don't know any of those things, please just contact school and we will get that turned around really quickly for you. It's important to say moving forward that the home learning inbox will continue for those kinds of queries, but staff will be really clear to you in Show My Homework about what and how and when we want your children to submit their work. Prior to the 8th of June, that was something that was optional. From the 8th of June onwards, we want everybody to be submitting the work in the way that we will direct on Show My Homework. It's important that you know that what class teachers are doing is recording the effort levels of those pieces of work that are being set in and sharing that with form tutors, which will inform those calls that will continue with home. Class teachers have been asked to grade by, has the piece of work been submitted, has it been done but to a very kind of low quality compared to what we know the students are capable of, has it been done fairly well but not necessarily all of the main tasks have been completed, or has it been done really well where all of the main tasks have been completed. So it will be those effort grades that class teachers are using our management information systems to feed that information on to our form tutors. So therefore, that's why it becomes really important that that work is submitted in the way that the teachers will be describing in those Show My Homework kind of signposting. So in terms of helping you as parents and carers to help structure the week at home, we are sending home as well a parent mail to give more detailed guidance on that, but you can see on the slides the cycle for Year 7 and Year 8 in terms of what will be set and when. We still recommend that students are working for around 3 up to no more than 4 hours per day, because it is far more intensive working at home by yourself than when you're working for those 5 days in the classroom, when you might stop, listen to the teacher exposition, kind of think, pair and share with somebody next to you. You wouldn't, as a rule, be spending 5 hours a day at school writing continually, which is why we're recommending 3 to 4 hours. On the parent mail, we've given a suggested timetable that you are free to stick to or to not stick to. It's there if you want that sense of structure. We do hugely recommend that you are continuing to do something physical every day, so there will be a core PE offer that gives you some direction for that as well. So on the slide here you can see what things will look like for our Year 9 and our Year 10 students. Year 10 students are not going to notice an awful lot of difference really. Hopefully the resources will just be a little bit more allowing you to connect with the teachers with the video and audio compared to what was there before the half term. Year 9, there will be a change because you will be only doing your core subjects, your English, Maths and Science, as well as your option subjects that you will start in GCSE. And we have changed Show My Homework so that you will only see the homework that is in your option subjects. We've changed that at our end so it will be easy to see from your end. Again, you can see on the slide what's being set when, and you can see that in English, Maths and Science that will be every week, and in your option subjects it will be fortnightly. So we thought that one of the things that would be useful to share with you is what our students can do to help themselves at home. There's no doubt about it that these times, as well as expecting us as staff to be skilled up differently, that there's that requirement for students at home to be far more independent than they are maybe used to. And one of the things that we've done as teaching staff is to really consider how we develop our resources to help build up those independent skills. One of the things that I would say to students definitely is make sure you read the instructions. We've had in this last half term an awful lot of correspondence with people at home where they're saying that they don't understand the work, and what's been at the heart of that is a student not reading the instructions really carefully. We've tried to improve what that looks like for you so that instructions are really clearly numbered or sequenced and you're not having to search for them. So number one for students at home is to read those instructions really carefully. To look up any words that you don't know the meaning of. Sometimes we'll explain those for you in our resources, but if there's a word that you don't know, look up that word and keep a vocabulary book so that you build up that bank of new vocabulary words. You can get free dictionary apps if you go onto your Play Stores on your phones that will do that for you if you don't have a large dictionary in your house. Our staff are going to at times suggest ways that you can problem solve, ways to go about working out how to unstuck yourself if you are stuck. So pay attention to those and make sure you're acting on them. Make sure you're looking at any modelled examples that our staff provide about how to approach a particular problem or a particular piece of work, or what a good piece of work should look like. Lots of staff will be building in chances for you to self-check and improve your work, so please capitalise on those. And we hugely recommend trying to build up some sense of discussing the work that's being set with another student over the phone, over WhatsApp, or with a sibling or a parent or carer or other adult living in the household. There's also lots that you as parents and carers can please do to support your children at home, and we thank you hugely for the amount of effort and time that we know parents and carers have already been putting into supporting students at home. It is hugely appreciated by us and of course by your children themselves. The biggest thing that we would ask is that you establish and maintain a routine with your children at home, and that's why we've put a suggestion of what that might look like in the parents' mail. Remind them of some of the things that I've just talked about with you. The need to read the instructions really carefully is a really important thing. If you can, build in some time each day in the routine of the household to ask your child about what they've learned that day, what skill they've practiced, what new information they have learned, and try to prompt them if they just say to you, we've done some stuff. Ask them to tell you, for instance, something that they found hard, that they were stuck on. Encourage them to ask teachers questions, probably through Show My Homework, of things that they are stuck on, and sometimes the submission that we would ask for in any given week is to say which were the areas that you found difficult. It would be fantastic if you could facilitate setting up a study buddy for your child, another student who's in the same year, who will be doing the same work in Year 7 and Year 8, and it might need a couple of students to work together in Year 9 and Year 10 to cover those different option areas. But we know with feedback from parents and carers already that students who have been able to talk over the phone about work or talk over social media about work in the way that you would do in class has been hugely, hugely beneficial. And some of our staff, some of the time, may well suggest times when it's a good idea to pause and to go and discuss something with a study buddy. If you want to go the extra mile as a parent and carer, building in a routine of trying to get the students to revisit the work themselves independently that they've done each week, to make sure they've understood it, to perhaps build up a body of flashcards with key information on, to check what their understanding is like in future weeks, that would be superb. The easiest way to do that for flashcards is you write a key word or a key question on one side and you write the definition or the answer on the other side. And that way you can use the question or the key word to check the understanding. And if you gradually do that, especially in year 9 and year 10, that means that you are already starting to revise for those exams at the end of GCSE. So, what will we do to help your children at home? And the answer to that is all we possibly can from a distance. We will create those resources that are as easy to use and as user-friendly as we possibly can. We will upload everything to Show My Homework so that there's one place to find out where the work is and links are embedded in there to where the resources are, rather than you having to kind of find your way through SharePoint to find them. We will include audio and video wherever we can, with the limitations of the technology that are available to us. We will continue to provide printed material for those students where there is an absolute need for it. It isn't something that we can provide for all our kind of 800 or so students in year 7 to year 10, but where there's that genuine need, we will continue to provide that. We will give regular feedback and we will continue those form tutor conversations home. Our feedback then is meant to support your child to improve their work, and it will be a mix of checking understanding, checking accuracy, giving suggestions for improvement, and feedback, our aim is to give that once per cycle, either once per week or once per fortnight, depending on the regularity with which that subject is being set. The feedback will be a mix. It will at times form the basis of individual comments to students. It may at times be whole class feedback, and your child at home will need to look at that and reflect on the work that they produced and how that feedback matches what they produced. Sometimes we might annotate work, we might do that with a really good example from one person within the class and use that to deliver the next sequence of learning. We will certainly be looking at which are the most common errors that the class are making to build that into our next stage of learning, and we will provide opportunities for the students themselves to undergo some self-assessment, such as the use of Show My Homework quizzes or being able to upload things through Microsoft Forms. Again, if we ask the students to use Microsoft Forms, we will embed the link in the Show My Homework, and all they need is their school email username and password to be able to access that. Crucially, staff will be as clear as we can be about how to submit work, what that work is, because it will not be all of the work that will have been produced at home. We will ask for a specific part of it that we want sending back, and we will be clear about when we want that work to be submitted. We have 1 or 2 members of staff who are starting to trial live tutorials to invited groups, and that might well develop as we move through this stage of our home learning. But at the moment that will be on a very, very small scale. We're very mindful of the fact that if we were to go with online live lessons at a particular moment during the week, that might be very difficult for families where you've got more than one sibling trying to access one device. So that might be very difficult for people at home to necessarily be able to access. But we are looking to trial some sense of live tutorials, and we will update you with any developments on that. And so finally, to talk about form tutor calls. These will recommence from the 8th of June, and they will be done on a fortnightly cycle. And what we've advised form tutors to do is to do half their group one week and then half their group on a subsequent week. They will still continue to discuss the well-being of the child at the heart of those phone calls, and to continue with that connection with home and school, but they will also be aimed very much at helping parents and carers to hold the students to account for doing their work at home. form tutors will be discussing the completion rate and the effort put into the homework. So whilst class teachers won't chase the work, form tutors will, knowing the context of the child, knowing the context of the family. What the class teachers are doing for each piece of work that needs to be submitted is recording that and sharing that information with form tutors. And they are recording whether a piece has been handed in or not. And if it has been handed in, then they are recording the amount of effort that they feel has been put in, commensurate with the ability of the child. So they might record that it is red for a piece of work that has been handed in, but has not been done very well at all. They might record that it is amber for a piece of work where most of the tasks, most of the main tasks have been completed, but perhaps not all of them, and then green for a piece of homework where all of the tasks have been completed with a really decent effort linked to that child's ability. So that will also form part of the form tutor's role, and the reason for this, quite simply, is we don't want to allow the gaps to grow between the students who are working at home and the students who aren't. So this is our attempt to work with you, still supportively, still always talking about the barriers and how we can help to mitigate them with you. We do want to try to make sure that all of our students are handing in all of their pieces of work to the best of their ability. Okay, so I hope you found this presentation helpful, and thank you very much for your time.